Let me ask you something uncomfortable. You probably know how to save money. You probably know you should invest. You probably know that living beyond your means is a trap. So why are not more people rich? Here's what I think. It is not a knowledge problem. It is not even a discipline problem. It is a psychology problem. And the people who get rich, really genuinely wealthy, do not just think differently about money. Their brains are running a different program, a different set of patterns, beliefs, and mental shortcuts that most people never even know exist. Today, we are cracking that program open. Every year, researchers study what separates wealthy individuals from everyone else. And over again, the studies point to the same uncomfortable truth. It is not talent, it is not luck, and it is not even hard work, at least not in the way most people think. The real gap is internal. It is psychological. It lives in the space between a decision and the moment before you make it. In the next few minutes, you are going to see exactly how people who build real wealth think, and more importantly, why most people's brains are wired to stay exactly where they are. Some of this is going to feel familiar. Some of it is going to make you uncomfortable. That is the point. Let us get into it. Here's the first thing you need to understand. Your brain was not designed to build wealth. It was designed to survive. And there is a massive difference between those two things. When you grow up in an environment where money is tight, or even just feels tight, your brain learns a very specific lesson. Resources are scarce, so protect what you have. This is called the scarcity mindset, and it is not just a theory. It is neuroscience. A landmark study from Harvard economist Sendhil Mullainathan showed that when people are in a state of financial scarcity, their cognitive bandwidth literally shrinks. Their IQ scores drop. Their decision-making gets worse. Not because they are less intelligent, but because their brain is using so much mental energy managing financial anxiety that there is less left for everything else. Think about that. Being poor or feeling poor can actually make you worse at the decisions you need to make to stop being poor. That is not a character flaw. That is biology. And the scarcity mindset does not disappear when the money comes in. People carry it for years, sometimes decades, after they escape difficult financial circumstances. It shows up as hoarding money instead of investing it. It shows up as avoiding financial conversations because they trigger anxiety. It shows up as spending impulsively because some part of the brain says, spend it now before it disappears. Rich people are not immune to scarcity thinking, but the ones who stay rich have usually, through deliberate effort or environment, rewired that response. They operate from what psychologist Carol Dweck would call an abundance mindset, not the toxic positivity version, the real version, the version that says there are opportunities out there, I can create value, and money is a tool, not a threat. Here is the practical takeaway. You cannot out-discipline a scarcity mindset. You have to reframe it. When you notice you are making a financial decision from fear, pause. Ask yourself, is this a survival decision or a strategy decision? Because those two decisions, made from those two emotional states, will take you to completely different places. Now let us talk about delayed gratification. You have probably heard of the famous marshmallow test. Kids who could wait to eat one marshmallow got two. And the story everyone remembers is simple. Kids who wait become more successful. But that is a massive oversimplification. A 2018 study from NYU replicated the marshmallow test on a much larger and more diverse sample. And what they found was striking. The ability to wait for the second marshmallow was not primarily about willpower. It was about trust. Kids who waited had usually grown up in stable environments where adults kept their promises. Kids who grabbed the marshmallow early had often learned from real experience that waiting does not pay off. That changes everything. Wealthy people do not just delay gratification, they delay gratification because they trust the future. Their mental model of the world says, if I invest this, I will likely see a return. If I wait, the reward will probably still be there. People who struggle financially often have a very different mental model. One built from real experience. One where the money you save gets eaten by an unexpected bill. One where the job you worked hard for disappears. One where the investment does not pay off the way you hoped. In that world, spending now is not irrational. It is actually a rational response to an unpredictable environment. So what does this mean practically? First, wealthy thinking is partly about building trust in systems. When you automate your savings, when you invest in index funds, when you set financial rules you do not break, you are not just building wealth, you are rebuilding the internal trust that makes patience feel rational. Second, your environment is your biggest financial influencer. Not your willpower, not your motivation, your environment, the people around you, the information you consume, and the financial behaviors you see normalized shape your mental model of what is possible more than any amount of self-discipline. If every person you know lives paycheck to paycheck and thinks investing is for rich people, that becomes your reality. And changing your financial trajectory means, at least in part, changing that environment. Now here's the one that surprises people the most. Most people think wealthy people are big risk takers, fearless, reckless even. Wrong. Studies on high net worth individuals consistently show that truly wealthy people are not bigger risk takers than average. What they are is better at calculating risk and better at tolerating the feeling of risk. Those are completely different things. Here's the neuroscience. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, does not distinguish very well between physical danger and financial danger. When you look at a volatile investment, your amygdala fires. It sends a stress signal. Your body responds with cortisol. Suddenly, your brain is trying to protect you from a bear market the same way it would protect you from an actual bear. This is why most people panic sell at the worst possible time, why they avoid investing altogether, why they keep money in savings accounts earning almost nothing. Because the feeling of safety matters more to the threat-detecting brain than the logic of compound returns. People who build wealth have, through experience, knowledge, or psychological training, developed what researchers call risk tolerance, not recklessness, tolerance. The ability to sit with financial uncertainty without their nervous system overriding their strategy. And here's the counterintuitive part that almost nobody talks about. Playing it safe with money is one of the highest risk decisions you can make. Keeping your savings in cash while inflation slowly eats away at it is not safe. It is slow financial erosion. The feeling of safety and the reality of safety are completely different. And wealthy people understand this in a way that most people do not. They have reframed risk. Instead of asking, "What if I lose this?" they ask, "What is the cost of not taking this position over 10 years?" That single shift in perspective, from loss aversion to opportunity cost, is one of the most financially valuable psychological upgrades you can make. And practically, the way to build risk tolerance is not to be brave. It is to be educated. The more you understand what you are investing in, the less your amygdala treats it like a threat. Knowledge, real specific knowledge, is a sedative for financial fear. Now let us get to the part most financial advice completely ignores. Your brain is an identity protection machine. Psychologists call this cognitive consistency. We are deeply driven to behave in ways that are consistent with how we see ourselves, because inconsistency feels threatening. It creates psychological discomfort that the brain wants to eliminate. So here's the problem. If your internal identity says, "I am not good with money," your brain will protect that identity. It will make you forget to check your accounts. It will make you avoid financial planning. It will make high-income opportunities feel uncomfortable and out of reach. Not because you are consciously sabotaging yourself, but because your brain is doing exactly what brains do, keeping you consistent with who you believe you are. Studies on self-concept and financial behavior show this repeatedly. People's financial choices often correlate more closely with their financial identity than with their financial knowledge. You can give someone a perfect financial education, but if they still believe deep down that wealth is not for someone like them, the behavior will not change. This is why rich people often raise rich children, not just because of inheritance, but because of identity. A child who grows up seeing wealth as normal, achievable, and natural develops a financial identity that makes wealthy behavior feel comfortable. And here's the empowering part. Identity is not fixed. It is a story you keep telling yourself. And stories can be rewritten. The way wealthy people think about themselves around money is learnable, not through empty affirmations, but through behavior. Because identity follows action, not the other way around. Every time you invest, even a small amount, your brain registers something important. I am the kind of person who invests. Every time you read about finance, review your portfolio, or make a deliberate spending decision, you add another line to that story. This is what behavioral scientists call identity-based habit formation. And it is one of the most powerful levers you have. So here's the practical takeaway. Stop trying to change your financial habits first. Start trying to change your financial identity. Ask yourself, what would someone do today who genuinely believes they are building wealth? Then do that thing, even if it is small, especially if it is small. Because small, consistent, identity-aligned actions compound over time exactly like money does. So let us bring this together. People who get rich are not operating on superior intelligence or superior discipline. They are operating on a different psychological system. They have learned or been fortunate enough to absorb a set of mental frameworks that most people never encounter. They have escaped the scarcity trap, or at least learned to recognize when it is running. They understand that patience is built on trust, not just willpower. They have developed a relationship with risk that is based on knowledge, not fear. And they have built a financial identity that makes wealthy behavior feel natural instead of alien and uncomfortable. None of this is magic. None of this is genetic destiny. Every single one of these patterns can be learned. Every one of them can be installed deliberately into your psychology through the right information, the right environment, and the right repeated actions. The gap between where you are financially and where you want to be is not just a discipline gap, it is a psychology gap. And psychology, unlike talent, can be changed. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Which of these 4 patterns is most active in your financial life right now? Which one is the lever you need to pull? Because awareness is where change starts. Always. And you just took the first step. If this changed the way you think about money, even slightly, hit the like button. It helps more people find this content. And if you want to go deeper into the psychology of wealth, financial behavior, and what the research actually says about how people build lasting money, subscribe. Because this is what we do here, every single week. See you in the next one.